Pete Williams, our expert here on the law and what we know about the police situation. Pete Williams.
Well, Chris, tonight the mayor is calling this the most devastating day in the history of Virginia Beach. The numbers, 11 people killed, 6 people injured. We don't yet know tonight the condition of the people who were taken to 2 hospitals, 5 to one to another, presumably all with gunshot wounds, although authorities haven't said yet what the nature of their injuries is exactly. But this is a person, they say, who was an employee of this building. In other words, they say he was shooting at people that he knew, entering the building just after 4 o'clock, about 4:30. This is the municipal building. It's in a cluster of city office buildings near the courthouse, near City Hall in Virginia Beach. And then the police chief says he just began indiscriminately opening fire. Now, we don't yet know what kind of weapon the gunman was carrying or how heavily armed he was. We do know that the police response was very quick because you've got all these city buildings around. You have this large police presence there anyway. They were in that building very, very quickly. And we do know that the gunman was killed in a shootout with police, and that one of the people who was a target of the gunman's gunfire was a police officer. But the police chief is saying that his life was spared by the body armor that he was wearing, by, in essence, his bulletproof vest. We don't yet know anything further about the motive. All they're saying is that this was a current employee of this municipal building. He's being described as a disgruntled employee, obviously. Earlier, there'd been a rumor that he'd been fired, but the police chief said that he was a current employee. So we had sensed that this was a workplace shooting early on this afternoon when some of the witnesses were saying that they knew who the gunman was. So that suggested it was a coworker, someone they knew. We were just waiting to find out whether this was a domestic violence situation or workplace shooting, but it does seem now like it's the latter.
It seems that we've been saved from this particular category of mass shooting for a while. Remember, Pete, you've got a great memory. Remember all those post office situations that became almost classic?
Right, decades ago, and then there was a spate of them about 10 or 15 years ago, also in large industrial settings. But you're right, we haven't seen a lot of these, fortunately, lately. We're fortunate that they don't happen more often than they do. Of course, one of the questions is how did the person get the gun inside this building? But this was an office building, and not every office building in America. You expect to see metal detectors in courthouses, at the concourses of airports, which is where most Americans would run into them. Here in Washington, virtually every federal office building has metal detectors for people who walk in off the street. But this was the kind of place where you go in to see the people about your water bill, to operations, people who carry out the normal day-to-day operations of a city. And it did not have metal detectors, probably because there wasn't a lot of public walk-in. But that's how this person was able to get this gun in, and of course an employee would know how to do it.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.